There we go. So welcome everyone, and let's welcome James Usher in our podcast for this time being. Welcome, James.
Nice to visit. No, nice to join.
Yeah, for sure. Nice to. So I guess you and I are both having different temperatures. Different. Where are you from?
I'm in North Carolina.
All right.
Born in North Carolina,
All right.
in Greensboro.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I'm from up in Canada. We're experiencing some snow at the moment, as we do it with all our winters. So yeah, so you welcome to this epilepsy world. Isn't that something, isn't it?
Yes, it's kind of only the ones that have it really fully understand.
Mm-hmm. So it's what are your what's your experience for with seizures? So before I get going, what are seizures?
Seizures are epilepsy. Multiple seizures. You got epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start having them, you got them. You got epilepsy.
Oh yes. So okay. So a seizure itself, from my understanding, there's a like there are some forms of seizures that are non-epileptic. However, the epilepsy world it's surrounded by seizures,
Yep.
and they're different seizures. It's not just and they come in so many forms.
Yeah, and the list gets longer every day as they learn more,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to learn every seizure.
Yes, that's right. So what's your experiences with the seizures?
My experiences started probably about age 20 or 21.
Oh,
I just had a grandma seizure, and
mm-hmm.
I didn't know what a seizure was.
All right. You know what brought this on?
I don't know what brought it on.
Oh, okay. That's a scary thought,
It just started.
right? So you lived your childhood as most people do in a normal way. See, so without any seizures.
Yeah, I
So
was
that
just a
means
regular child, and then all of a sudden, at about age 20, uh, hitting young adulthood, I guess you'd call it, a
sure.
seizure came on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what happened.
Okay. Huh. So yeah, that must have been awfully scary.
Well, it was confusing and scary, I guess you'd call it.
Mm-hmm. Is that so? Is that I'm trying to think how where you would have been living at this with this because I grew up with seizures. I grew up since
Yeah, a lot of people I've spoke to have grown up with seizures
yeah,
fully.
that's right.
So mine's kind of been up to this point in my age, about half my life without them, half my life with them.
So how did that switch your life around? What what
Well,
happened
it
in
kind
your life
of
at that?
stopped it and reversed it completely.
Oh, they did.
Everything was going up and then everything went down. But at
Right.
this point, I picked it back up and it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of taken in a whole different direction.
Okay. Wow. So were you working at the time?
I was
In
working.
school? You were. Did this affect your work in any way?
It stopped me from working
Oh yes. Okay.
due to what I was doing was not, uh, at the time, it was something you don't want to be doing when you have epilepsy.
Mm-hmm. No, that's right. So have you worked since?
I haven't worked since.
No. So it stopped you from working completely.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, brother. Yeah, it's got to be tough. Hmm. So that's your experience with the seizures. Are they grand mal? Is it petit mal with their actually the tonic-clonic. You've got different terms for it now,
Yes, it was. I believe they still refer to them as grand mal seizures,
right?
which luckily they were able to stop those.
Okay.
And now they consider what I have focal seizures.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
They
And what
used
are
to
they?
be called, they used to be called partials, simple partials, I believe. And they
Right.
changed the terms on me, which that I don't know what they did. That's confusing when they switch some terminology.
Okay. Yeah, they've switched things around. I've spoken with some people. One gentleman was talking about even the grand mal. The reason for the switch to grand mal to is it tonic clonic was that because of the mal itself was related to evil. If you go back in time, was that uh, people who had epilepsy in many areas of the world were considered as they were as possessed.
Yes, that's why they used to look at it.
Uh-huh. And that's when the term grand mal or petit mal came out.
Yes,
Hmm.
that's what I look back and reading the history of it. That's how they used to look at it,
Yeah.
as if you were possessed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Hmm.
Yes, the rumors surfaced over the years, but luckily people are coming to accept what
Hmm.
they are. They're learning more. Education is getting out there, probably through advocates are teaching people.
Right.
So luckily they're learning more about it and educating people more on what it is. So
Hmm.
hopefully society will come to accept fully.
Yes. Well, that's what this is all about. This is why we're doing this. This is why you and I are together right now, so that we can bring awareness to others around us, so that to bring light to what this is all about, what epilepsy is. Hmm. So so these partial seizures that you were talking about, can you can you explain them?
As far as partial seizures go, or focal seizures as they call them now,
Hmm.
that's with when I have them, all I do is just kind of lock up for a second.
Okay, so everything stops.
It kind of stops,
Okay,
uh, and I come back in a few seconds, a little confused, and then just continue on.
all right. So you're not in danger.
Not really.
Okay,
I've
I'm
learned
assuming.
to kind of work around it.
Okay,
It's not going to end my day.
right. So so I experience a, a somewhat of a fear when it comes through me. It almost like it overcomes me, and I feel fearful and paranoid.
Yeah, it can give you, it can bring on a lot of anxiety.
Oh yes. Okay. Hmm.
It used
Well,
to do that to me and kind of get me a little paranoid for the rest of the day that it might happen again.
right.
But I've come to deal with that and learn to keep that out of my head
Mhm.
and live the rest of my day without fear of it coming on again.
Right.
And
Yeah, that must be.
it's kind of odd the way I deal with it. I deal with the anxiety by taking my focus off of my seizures, focusing on others' seizures.
Oh, okay. Wow. And that works for you?
And that seems to work.
Oh, okay.
I'm focusing on seizures, but the others people's seizures.
Okay. So not other seizures of yours, but other people for other people.
Yes,
I see. Oh,
it's
so
odd how it works, but it
right.
seems to work.
Okay. Huh. So that's yeah, it kind of is odd, but epilepsy itself is odd.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It's
So,
still confusing to even the doctors.
oh yes. So I know my partial seizures are actually, or the auras that I get, uh, how I get to reduce them or eliminate them altogether is by concentrating on what's going on that fear that I was speaking about, and understanding that it's epilepsy based. And as soon as I concentrate on that, everything kind of resides and goes away. And it works very well for me. It's a but I had it took a long time for me to get there through conditioning my mind, feeling good about who I was, being assertive and in control of my own life. But it wasn't until then that I was able to reduce those seizures and eliminate them altogether.
Yes, most of mine were brung on. Come to find out, the way mine were brung on by anxiety,
Right.
and I've come to learn that the anxiety was actually being caused by family members, reminding me of what could happen.
Okay.
They
Wow.
were keeping me focused on seizures.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved away from family, not realizing, not on purpose, not realizing that they were causing this, but once I moved away from immediate family, then I realized my seizures seemed to be getting better.
Yeah, I've heard that from other people as well, where not particularly with family, but from anxiety, and which is why I've created a triangle. So this triangle, on the very top is reduce stress. Do whatever it takes.
Yeah,
Back away, back away from whatever stress that you can get. And today, I live with no stress.
yes,
And
stress, if you can eliminate stress, that is a
yes,
major factor in many people that I've talked to, is getting to the point of what that stress
mhm,
is tricky.
yes, exactly. It's to find out what it is and to find out your triggers. And another trigger of mine is sleep. Without the proper sleep, I feel that those those goosebumps start climbing my legs. Because that, and I feel that overwhelming feeling inside of me.
Yes,
And
with mine, it kind of starts like that, but then my legs feel like they're disappeared from up under me.
oh,
I starts out with that tingly feeling down there in the legs,
mhm.
and then my legs kind of disappear, and I better sit down.
Oh yes. Why is your leg gonna let go?
They kind of feel like they disappear,
Really? Wow,
and I'm floating.
that's
Uh,
just crazy.
the doctors, they want you to explain stuff, and
Hmm.
they don't realize it's just not that explanatory.
Oh, when I was 5, 10 years old, try to explain that fear. There was just no word for it. And
Yes,
right
there's
now,
no word.
no. Right now, what I could come up with is, let's just say you're it says that you're in the bush, and all of a sudden you lock yourself in a cabin in the dead of winter. You close everything up, and all of a sudden something comes behind you, and you know it's out to get you. So you lock it, you put yourself in a closet, and you know it's just a matter of time, and you're fearful, you're scared, and that's the level of fear that I experience. But it has nothing to do with the scenario I just explained. But today I'm able to maybe put some scenarios together so that somebody can maybe understand somewhat, a little bit of what's going on. But back when I was 10 years old, there's no way that nobody could understand that. I was even experiencing some hallucination where I'd see my mother's head start growing, my hands would get big and heavy. I was crying. Imagine when you're 5, 6, 7 years old and this is happening. So yeah, mom would
Mm.
rush down, and I remember when she'd take my hands and put them under cold water, thinking I was having a bad dream, but that wasn't the case. Those were the seizures that were happening at that time.
Yes, mine never really went like that. It's just I probably when you have when mine started out as them grandma seizures, I was actually conscious during those,
Mhm.
but I couldn't speak. I couldn't tell nobody nothing. I was
But you're
trying
conscious,
to, but you're kind of stuck. You can't say nothing.
so you can hear what's going on around you.
I was fully conscious. I knew what was going on. I could see the
Okay.
people. They were going. They were running around crazy, trying to figure out what to do. I
Hmm.
just couldn't tell them. But they were making it worse. They really.
Right. Wow. So yeah, you had to make a move and do something about what was going on.
Yes, but when I made that move, that wasn't for that particular reason. I just happened to move. But once I did move, I started realizing that my seizures were getting a lot better.
Wow.
Then I started, after I gave it a lot of thought over a period of time, I realized that they were causing stress.
Hmm. Huh. That's that's amazing. But it's a good thing that you picked up on it afterwards. So then that actually actually happened.
Yes, because that's one of those things you don't notice until after you a change that you make that change, and then you realize how big a impact that change actually made on it without you realizing.
Right. So if I come out with the word aura, what does that say to you?
Well, an aura to me is basically a warning of a seizure. To me, other people, other people's definition probably would they wouldn't know.
Okay. Yep. So I've because what I was explaining to you about that fear was described to me as an aura, a non-set to possibly something bigger. But I haven't had any major seizures, anything past the aura, since I was maybe 19 years old, 18 years old. But then at 18 I got a surgery. I got a right temporal lobe surgery on the right hand side. So I got out of the operating table, and everything appeared to be okay. And to my knowledge, they got rid of all the seizures, and all of the seizures that you could see, they were gone, which was just amazing. But what they couldn't do on with the slice of a knife that got rid of those seizures, they couldn't install the self-esteem that was drastically needed. The confidence, being assertive, there was none of that. So they left me out, and eventually, when I stumbled on personal development, that's when I began my journey to recondition my mind. I went through that, and I worked at it. And those around me had no idea what I was doing, and I was just developing myself, and I liked what I was doing. But in time, I started noticing my seizures, my anxiety started to drop. My anxious moments were dropping, and then I was around 40 years old when I looked back. I couldn't remember the last time I even got one of those fearful episodes. And that's when I realized that the conditioning in my mind had got rid of that. What I was just mentioning a while ago about that triangle, or that very top, eliminate any stress. Well, I had done that. Then my sleep, I had done that too. But there's one piece missing: my food and fitness. So my diet. And once I got all three together, that was the recipe for myself to move on, which worked out well. Not too long ago, maybe a couple of years ago, I was at the gym and I told myself I need to get back to the gym and get things going again. But to do this, I had to go to the gym at 5 a.m. each and every morning. So 5 a.m. from Monday to Friday before I'd go to work. So I'd go to the gym and come back, go to work and come back. And the next day I'd do the same thing. The same would happen. However, I knew I needed my 8 hours of sleep, because in my recipe, I need a full 8 hours each night. But in time, I couldn't go, I'd miss my bedtime by 8 o'clock and get up at 4. I'd miss it. And I'd be at bed at 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock. And one night, I felt I was tired. I was laying down, and around 2 a.m., I woke up with those goosebumps calling up my body to fear. And I couldn't, my wife was beside me, but I couldn't stand having her beside me, but I didn't want her to go. So again, nothing I can really explain. But I started wondering that day. I said, okay, what have I done? And I realized I was missing out on that sleep. So I stopped everything. I stopped the gym, got my sleep, and 2 weeks later, I was back to where I was at. This is wow. And found out through a neurologist in my center that what all this anxiety that I disclaimed, or that I discounted as being a seizure, I thought that was just plain anxiety. He said everybody has that. But I'd be the guy that would live with my body was vibrating 24 hours a day. But that neurologist told me, when he explained to me exactly what was going on, he says those were seizures. Those are exact seizures of what you're talking about. I thought to myself, so is that possible? That through the state of my mind, with no medication, that I was able to eliminate my seizures on my own. I thought to myself, wow, isn't that amazing? If others could only understand that the power of the mind that can switch what you're doing, how you're feeling, including your own seizures. I'm not saying it's a remedy for everyone. Absolutely not. But what if someone could try that triangle and get all aspects of their lives in order? See what that would do to them, whether it be epilepsy or not. Find out where that would bring them. I encourage anybody to try that. So that's
Yeah,
my
yeah, the
experience.
triangles. I would say that's more like a keeping on a good schedule with a good diet and a good there's maintaining,
Mhm.
keeping focused. You
Yeah, for
stay
sure.
focused, your mind is not sitting around bored thinking. If you got nothing to do but think, it's gonna cause your mind to be inactive. If you're focused, staying focused, keeping focused, then you're fine. You you're good. I've come to realize that over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Get
and
up,
you're
stay
absolutely right.
focused, keep going, stay on
Mm-hmm.
that schedule, maintaining your day, live
Mm-hmm.
your life, but you got to stay on that schedule and you got to maintain and you got to keep your mind focused on the positives, not the negatives, which leads some people to depression when they focus on only the negatives and not the
Yes.
positives.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. So yeah, it's you're absolutely right. Like it's maintain that focus to. This is why I post online every single day. All the things that I'm posting, it may not appear that it has anything to do with epilepsy, but if you keep on doing what I'm insinuating on those posts, watch your life turn around. This is why I post daily and on multiple facets, so that people can get the message and live the same way I'm living. Because what I'm posting is how I live, which is why I've got no stress. I've got my diet's doing well. My fitness is good. And my sleep is also good. And guess what? So are my seizures. So
Yes.
it's
Yep.
so so I want everyone to understand that this is a good recipe. So I'm giving you all the small recipes online.
Yes, a lot of people don't seem to keep and maintain these schedules that they need to maintain, and they don't have these healthy lifestyles
Mhm.
that they don't realize that how the importance of
Yes. So, James, what, to your knowledge, why do you think people in general, or so many, just don't understand? Why do you think they don't understand epilepsy?
I believe it's they're so undereducated on it. A lack of education is a major problem here in our country, in the U.S. I don't think they're teaching about it at all.
Mhm.
It's one of those things you only learn about unless you have.
Right. And I see the same thing in Canada.
Yes,
Same
there's
deal.
just a major lack of education,
Hmm.
which we're trying to help uh, raise that, raise awareness. It's just you got to get them to listen, and that's a lot of people don't take the time to listen because it don't affect them firsthand.
Right.
The ones that it does affect, they'll listen.
Hmm. Yeah. So that's but amazing enough, there are many. The percentage of people with epilepsy is high.
Yes.
Is high. Is it 1 in 26 will experience some form of epilepsy throughout their lives,
Hmm.
which is high.
Yes. People don't. It don't seem high, but that is pretty high.
Oh, for sure.
And they're regular, like me and you. We appear regular people, but then a lot of people I've told I've had epilepsy. Their first words are, "What's that?"
Hmm. Yes, I mean to this day, this still goes on.
Yes, it continues to go on. Teachers don't know how to deal with it. We've got all the states in the U.S. trying to pass laws uh, where the teachers know about it, know how to react to it.
Right. I know there's a lot of action happening in North Carolina right now with
Yes,
the,
we're trying to get
yeah,
that.
different laws.
We're trying to get Sam's Law passed.
Mhm. Yes, and that's been ongoing for some time now, right?
Yeah, that's been going on a while.
Uh-huh.
The smallest things matter to the government officials. They'll
Right.
find something wrong with it, and they keep finding little things wrong with it.
What was that? What's going on?
Yes, they're just
Well,
pulling the bill apart.
okay.
So we'll just put it back together until it passes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just exactly right. Just keep on plugging away. Just eventually something's gonna break through.
Eventually,
Yes. So do you find there's a lot of stigma attached to epilepsy?
Uh, yes.
In which way?
Well, it's kind of different for every person due to the probably the medication, I guess.
Hmm. Okay. So I find that the stigma on my side, where people around me, those around me who don't really understand epilepsy,
Well, they're scared of it.
yeah,
It's probably
that's
the best word.
yeah, for sure. They fear it, and you get some people who I've heard people thinking that this is contagious, which is not. People uh, who are misinformed, informed by such as the one thing that comes to mind is thinking that if you get a seizure, you're going to swallow your tongue. Totally false.
Yes, that's impossible. That's virtually impossible.
It is because your tongue's attached underneath. It can't go anywhere.
Yes, I don't know who. I tried. I have done research on who came up with that, and
Hmm.
I've come up with nothing.
Oh, really?
I've
Wow.
never been able to figure out where that came from.
Wow.
But then again, your only resource is online.
Yes. Hmm. But yeah, so it's for those out there, so yes, that is a totally false myth.
I
And
mean, they got some of the myths are funny, but what's not funny is that the people believe them.
yes. Hmm. And because they believe different things, then they'll perceive someone with epilepsy differently,
Yeah,
feeling that we're not the same as others are. But in fact, we're as normal as anyone else. There's just a, a condition that happens in our brain every now and again, a little glitch. But then once that glitch is done, is where we resume.
yep, that's what they do.
Hmm.
They got this. I guess if they don't understand it, they're not gonna go near it.
Right. Have you ever been near uh, those who or someone who might have some harsh words towards you because of your condition?
I haven't really, not yet, because I don't really. If they want to be like that, I don't. I kind of put them in their place
Right.
nicely.
Hmm.
I'm not a mean person. I just if they are like that, I just kind of they get a quick education.
Right. Okay. So because you have a voice.
Yes, that's and I use it.
Uh-huh. Which is should be done by everyone. But the sad thing is that you so if you have a voice, there's a level of confidence that needs to come with that voice. Now, many people who go through epilepsy have a low self-esteem, unfortunately.
Yes, epilepsy will. There was a period in time where mine had, especially in the beginning, mainly in the beginning, really, when
Mhm.
my confidence dropped, my self esteem dropped, all that dropped because
Right.
I was. They didn't educate me when I. All they told me, I had a seizure. They told me you have epilepsy. I had to
Right.
put the two together and come up with the conclusion that epilepsy and seizures are the same thing. They didn't tell
Mhm.
me that in the ER.
Well,
They treated me and sent me out the door. and
Mm-hmm.
gave me a neurologist's name. He didn't even explain that to me. I just kind of had to learn that. And after I had it all figured out,
Right.
then yeah, I was down a little bit because it kind of stopped life. But confidence, I met more and more people with it, and then I started realizing these are regular people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything wrong with these people.
Right. So I bring up the confidence because I know I had absolutely no confidence when I was younger. I grew up, went through school with with no confidence whatsoever, and was not assertive, and I feared everything, and I didn't want to try anything out. And I recall my siblings asking me to do something, and I purposely say no because I said I knew I was going to fail. But once in a while, to make things worse, is uh, to prove others that I thought I was right, that I was going to fail. I proved to them that I would fail. So honestly, my recipe was already shot, it was already done. And it was a bad recipe that I had to start off with. So my recipe was for failure. So I was good. So I was destined for failure from the get-go. But that's where my train of mind was at. So I just felt that the only thing I was good at was failing. So this is why I bring it up now. And I was fortunate enough to get out of that. And now creating these podcasts, putting these quotes out there, and creating some work online courses that are going out as well. So I turned this whole thing around for myself. So there's so many people that need to hear this, that you can, despite where you're at, you can turn things around. Even if you're going through if you're living with a condition, does your mindset is still your own. You're still in control of that, and you can change it around. So one question I have for you, James, is that why is it important to you to share this message?
Why is it what?
Why is it important to you to share this message?
I like I make it a point to raise awareness. Because I've had
Mhm.
so many people ask me what epilepsy is. I've heard that too many times. Everybody seems to want to, their first reaction is 911, but you don't need to do that. And I want to make sure that, well, I moved to Greensboro. They had no support group. So I just figured they do now. And I started it.
Oh, you did.
And
Nice.
they're going to have one. So, and I've got one. I had it set up. I talked to the hospital, to the head of neurology. They gave me a room.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, COVID come along, which kind of led me online
Mm-hmm.
where we meet today.
Yes. Yeah,
And
it's put a damper on every one of us.
I'm not gonna let COVID stop me from doing it.
Right. And again, there's what we're doing now. There's always online.
Yes, I'm not gonna stop it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an obstacle, just like epilepsy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If that's how that's the way you see it, and that's a perfect way to for everyone to see it. It's just an obstacle. Remember
Well, if it's not
the
epilepsy, everybody's got obstacles. You just
yes.
gotta have the mindset to just get around it. There's a way around everything.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta find it. Everybody might have a different way of getting around it. You just gotta find your way around
Yes.
and go around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. No, for sure. Thanks for sharing that. That's absolutely right. Hmm. So, who's your largest supporter out there, James? Do you have any support system that you tag onto?
Well, I've got pretty good supporters in the area as far as when it comes to the bill.
Mm-hmm.
Being that no longer associated with the people that put the bill out, but I do support the bill. Yes, I got the mayor of Greensboro. She supports me,
Okay. Nice.
and she's actually a pretty good mayor. Mayor
Oh yeah.
Nancy Vaughn.
It's good to have her on your side.
Well, she's a pretty good supporter, and I've got a few members that maintain connections with, and
Mm-hmm.
mainly the head of neurology at the hospital.
Right.
They want a support group, so
Oh.
they gave me a room. I'm assuming nobody came and tried to. Because what's funny is the Epilepsy Foundation of North Carolina is not far from here.
Oh. Okay.
Well, they're now the Epilepsy Alliance of North Carolina, which I'm in the process of associating myself with.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think they would have a support group in the near them, near the area, but they didn't.
Hmm.
But they do now.
Okay. Well, are you finding that these support groups are popping up here and there in different locations?
They're not as common as they used to be.
Oh, okay. So I know that a lot of people still shy away from even talking about epilepsy.
A lot of people are shy, and when it comes to their personal issues like that, they just don't want to. They're not too open about it.
Mm,
I think they feel embarrassed, but they need to meet others that have the same thing. That if they met other people with epilepsy, they would notice that they're not alone.
yes. Yeah. I look at my father who has Parkinson's, and same with him. He has a support group where he there are people who are common in different things. With like in his case, it's Parkinson. So
These support groups are a major factor when it comes to it's actually what helped me regain confidence and all that.
right.
When I started, I went to a support group, and they actually helped me notice how common it really was.
Mm-hmm.
But then I
Wow.
moved where we had no support group.
Okay.
So I started it. I started one.
Right. And is it still relatively small?
It varies. People kind of are limited to transportation, and
Okay. And people come and go, right?
yes, they come, they go, they
Yeah.
take a break, they, I guess, go into a depression.
Mm-hmm. But yourself maintaining a presence is just an awesome thing that you're doing.
Well, I'm here, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going anywhere.
Right. Are you outside of your support groups? Do you have any other work going out there?
Uh, that's about all I do right now.
Okay.
As far as being stuck at home all the time,
Mm-hmm.
I leave the computer on. I can be reached. People got my phone number. They got they can reach me on Messenger.
Right.
I make that available 24 hours a day. If they want to call me, they can
Oh.
call me. I've been
Okay.
woke up, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So that's, as I said, it's an amazing thing that you're doing. Thank you so much. So
They've got to have a support system.
yes, indeed. And but still on support, do you have the one person who you, or one or two people that you personally are able to lean on?
Well, I can lean on my wife for I know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have epilepsy when I met her.
Oh, okay. So
And
you both grew with this together.
yes, it started when I knew her, and she stayed with me.
Oh, wow. Now
And
she's a
boom,
special woman.
yeah, she didn't. A lot of women probably would have taken off and ran
Mm-hmm.
away from it, but she stuck with me through it.
Right. Yes, I got. I recall in my younger days when you just didn't know. It's like all of a sudden, if I get a seizure, I was completely unaware. Unlike what you were describing. So I get a grand mal seizure, be shaking, but then I kind of come back to looking around, and everybody's gone. So even at school, when I got my seizures, but at the beginning, not really knowing what was going on, I I get a seizure, and my seizures at the beginning, they were maybe what you're calling, focal, where I'd stop and I'd be staring or I'd be blinking.
Yes, that happened. It's kind of like you freeze up for a second.
Correct. And that's what I was doing. That's what I'd be doing at the beginning. And then those around me, if you can picture I'm around 7 years old. So as a 7-year-old, it would frighten them. So they kind of took a step back. And when I came back to, I noticed that people were distancing from me. But personally, I felt rejected. So that kind of it started off my journey of being self-conscious and reserved. So that's where that started off from my personal self. But what you're talking about your wife who stuck around with that, that's a great woman, great lady that you have with you.
But she's actually no, she's better at recognizing my seizures at some points.
Mm.
At sometimes better at recognizing than I am.
Oh,
I argue that I didn't have a seizure. She says I did.
so what are the signs that she recognizes?
I don't know what she sees, but she
Mm.
tells me I have one. I somehow she sees but seems to realize it better. She knows her husband.
Mm-hmm.
She's able to give the doctor a lot more information than me.
Right.
Because from an outsider point of view,
Mm-hmm.
she knows just as much as I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can give the doctor the insider my perspective as a person with epilepsy, and she can give the doctor a perspective from the outsider's point of view. So the doctor is getting 2 points of view, which
Sure.
is giving a lot of information to them.
Oh, sure. And that's how they learn.
Yes, that helped a lot.
Oh, for sure. Because then they have knowledge for everyone else that they encounter.
Yes,
Because
that helps.
without the knowledge that your wife has, they then they're left going on their own. It's like going in with a broken car and say my car is broken. Well, what's wrong with it? I'm not sure. Just here. But if you tell them, says I don't know, my wipers aren't working. Well, then they can look at the wipers. So essentially, what we're doing, what your wife is doing, is coming up and saying that, okay, this is what's going on, and these are the problems, which is great. And that, as for myself, if I go into the doctors, I can't tell a doctor that what's going on when I'm having a grand mal. So it's because I'm completely unaware. I'll just show up as if something's wrong with me.
Yes, mine. I used to have. I've had some grandma seizures where I didn't even realize it, but my body, I could feel. Uh, I definitely went through something.
Right.
I used to get hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's and yeah, it's I was realizing it afterwards when I was absolutely drained, tired, and I was remember that one thing that comes to mind is that when this police officer stops me on a bicycle. I must have been 16, 17 maybe, and I'm driving my bicycle, and all of a sudden I see this police officer behind me, and a police officer comes up, says he stops me, says excuse me sir, says where are you going? And after the seizure, because I again I had no idea I had a seizure, but I must have been driving like a little chaotic with my bike. So I looked at the officer. Says I'm going home, officer. Says he says have you been drinking, sir? No. so
Yeah,
he,
police
so he
don't
got a little so
understand.
he got a little closer, and he asked me again, have you been drinking? And I told him, says no, I haven't. And he noticed right there then that there was no alcohol in my breath. So then he just said, okay, be on your way. And strangely enough, you would have thought that he would have caught onto something and said, wow, no, something's not right here. Let's have a good look at this guy. But no, he just sent me off and away I went. And I made my way home.
Well,
Yeah.
they've tried to. I've been thrown in jail before and charged with DUI after
Oh,
wrecking cars, and it got them. They threw that right out of court.
right.
So that was just time spent in jail that I didn't need to spend in jail.
For sure. Nobody
Because they
wants.
don't know epilepsy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
And
here's
that's another case of undereducation,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
which is a major problem.
It's huge. But there's so many with the cameras now and with the phones that you see out there. I find there's a lot more awareness, and people need to get to understand because they know they will be scrutinized.
Yes,
So they, mhm. So they need to know what's going on. So, which I'm noticing that a lot of places are trying to get aware, trying to get educated in different, not only epilepsy, but in different facets.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I've got I've put stuff all over Greensboro, and I'm trying to. They'll listen eventually.
Yes, if we just got to keep up that presence and let people know that that epilepsy is a real thing.
Well, if you can get one person to listen, they've got a mouth, and the chain reaction begins.
For sure. That's what this is all about. That's why we're doing this. Hmm. So is that so, James? Is there anything you'd like to leave the audience before we go?
Well, if they could tell everybody about exactly what we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
then whoever they tell will tell another person, and that would spread awareness in itself.
So spread awareness. So they talk about it.
If they just talk about it, then that's it. That's the move forward in education.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to be here with us, with me right now in this podcast. I
Oh, that's
really
what I
appreciate it.
do.
I appreciate it, and finally get to meet you to like one on one, and not just seeing your posts on on social media.
Yes, a lot of people shy away from the camera, and it's good to meet you.
Hmm.
I'm trying to meet more people face to face, but a lot of people don't seem to want to get on the camera. It's like you were talking about. Uh, what was it? A lack of confidence, I guess.
Yes.
The confidence to bring themselves in front of the world and talk about it.
Hmm.
Maybe they're ashamed. Maybe they don't want to they'll put their name, but not their face. I've noticed a lot of people go under a different name, go under a made up name, under a nickname instead of their real name,
Yes. No, you're right.
instead of just putting out the real name and jumping on the camera and just talk about it
Hmm.
when that's all they really need to do.
Because they don't want to be seen. They don't want to
They
be.
don't want to
They
be
want. They
seen.
want to remain invisible.
They want to kind of talk about it, but they don't want to announce to the world who they are and show
Yes.
themselves.
Hmm.
But I'm all for it. If anybody ever wants to speak,
Hmm.
then
Okay.
I'm on Zoom, and Facebook and Twitter and all
So,
those.
so that being said, James, we go on Twitter, how do we get in touch with you?
I'm under the name Triad Epilepsy Support Group.
Triad
Triad
Epilepsy.
Epilepsy Support. It's actually connected to Facebook
Okay. So Triad Epilepsy Sport. That's
Support
connected.
Group.
So support. Sorry. Okay. And so and you mentioned, okay, you're on Facebook. How about Facebook? Is that the same address?
Yeah, they're both connected to the
Okay.
same account. So whatever goes on Twitter will feed through
Okay.
to
Are you
Facebook.
Instagram?
What was that?
Are you on Instagram as well?
Yes, all three of those are connected.
Oh, okay, perfect. So there you go. So if you want to connect with James Usher, because you have the so Triad Epilepsy Support
Support group.
Group. Cool. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And what we're doing is amazing. And this is why I do it. That's why you do it. And I've got my own website out there, which is at danielvincent.mykajabi.com, which is where I host a course. I'm putting together a membership program and currently working on a book. So there are different things going on out there. So I asked the audience to go visit what we have, to both of us, and connect and spread the word. So thanks again, James. I really appreciate it. Enjoy your evening, sir. And I look forward to maybe do this again.
We can do it again. Just let me know.
Okay, sir.
Good
You have
meeting
yourself a
you.
great evening. Okay. Bye for
All
now.
right. You have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye now.
All right. Bye.